this question has been asked quite a few times to me. That is a KTM SMC R 690, and a lot of people have asked whether it's worth getting one basically, and should you get one in 2026, because they've been upgraded slightly with a few more electronics, a bit more refinements, but overall they're pretty much the same bike. And what better person to talk about it than moi, because I've owned this bad boy for a little bit, and as you can see, I've done some modifications. And I want to go for a ride and we can talk about all the pros, the cons, the lefts, the rights, and go over every little detail of what it's like to own a supermoto, especially the KTM SMC R 690, and whether or not this is the year for you to purchase one. Spoiler alert, it's probably going to be a massive yes. But just before we do so, let me quickly remind you guys to like, comment and subscribe. It really does help grow this channel. But I don't know about you guys, it's a beautiful day. There's a customized SMC R sitting right there, so let's get this show on the road. So I think we're going to do this in segments. I'm going to do the first bit just talking about what it's like to ride one of these things and the fun factor, the power, the reliability for me, and the overall experience of riding one of these things. But basically, when it comes to the SMC R in general, that is my forte because, duh, because I own one. So the engine on this bike, it is a 690cc single cylinder thumper. You probably already know that, let's be honest. Pumping out around 74-ish horsepower, I believe. I'll put the actual numbers on the screen. I should have researched this more, but my fish brain memory wouldn't remember even if I told myself the number earlier. But other than that, they are pretty damn good. The newer generations from 2020 onwards, I believe, or 2021, they've tweaked a few of the issues with the older generations. So far, so good for me. I've only heard good things and can only give good experiences. And I beat the absolute PISS out of this bike, and it still turns on and runs like nothing's happened. And overall, this is, at the end of the day, a big single cylinder thumper. So if you don't ride it hard enough, you will get the inevitable, let me just bang it up into a gear or two. The choppy, you probably can't tell because of the smoothing on the camera, maybe you can see this. You get the choppy tractor-like feel of this bike. But what this bike wants to do, drop a gear or two, and let the torque speak for itself. This is a rev-happy bike. This is exactly what they are for. But as you can see, this bike has no problem doing a bit of everything. It will happily let you twist the throttle and wring its neck out and give you that fun factor while leaning deep into corners with the long wheelbase and the long suspension travel. It really will give you that super leaned over, absolute jet fighter feel, but also slow around town. Because of that suspension, it does eat up a lot of these bumps. So it's quite a good compromise, to be fair. And just before we jump into the segment where I talk about a couple of cons on this bike, because believe it or not, these things aren't perfect, let me just show you the absolute fun you get when you twist this thing to the max. Honestly, it feels like I'm going so fast, you have no idea. And granted, I may or may not be accidentally going a little bit over the speed limit, but it feels like you're going 3 times faster than you are. Oh man. If you want fun, this is the bike. This really is the bike. Now, even with the amount of fun that these bikes really are, they do come with their flaws because nothing in this world is perfect. And even with the front 215 and rear 240 millimeter suspension travel, it does only come with about a 329 kilometer fuel range on a single tank, which isn't great if you're looking to do longer distances. But let's be honest, if you're going to do longer distances, this probably isn't the bike for you. You can do it, don't get me wrong. I've done a 9-hour ride on this bike. I'll put a video link somewhere up here on that. Go check that out, it's actually pretty fun. But yes, this bike really isn't set up for long distance in mind. This seat that I have on this bike, for example, is the KTM comfort seat. Costs about 400 New Zealand dollars, I believe. And that was really needed for me to be able to ride this bike longer than say 15 minutes down the road, because after about 15-20 minutes you really do start to notice how stiff the stock seat on this bike really is. So that's something to consider if you're going to buy one of these bikes. You probably will need to stick some money aside to get the comfort seat. We'll get into the cost of these things a bit later on, but put it this way, if you're buying one of these bikes, you've probably got a bit of spare change around that you can afford to do that. Now, I know briefly on that first segment I did touch on the reliability of this machine. This is an awesome LC4 motor, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day it is still a KTM, and KTM things do inevitably happen. And that is something to really consider, because being the high performance single cylinder that this thing is, they really do have to squeeze a lot out of it, and they ask a lot of a single cylinder piston. This thing from factory runs super lean, and you do need to do some fuel modifications like this Rottweiler block off plate and fuel in dongle, or you can get it dyno tuned, whatever. But basically what I'm saying is, from factory, with the added seat and the fueling situation, it's going to cost you a little bit more to get these bikes to run primo. And that's just being truthful. These bikes don't run great from factory. They do tend to choke a lot, and they have a lot of stalling issues. You can just tell it's running super lean and it's not very happy. But yes, if you don't do the fueling on this bike, on a day like this thing behind me will probably be a puddle of plastic when it melts inevitably from a 3000 degree heat that you get from the exhaust. And that's the crazy thing about these machines, is people like me know the risks you get when you buy one. Even though there's a big weight on one side that they could potentially go wrong and cost you an arm and a leg, there's another side that tells you that they could be fun and also cost you an arm and a leg. Because in this next segment, I'm going to be telling you how much these things really are, because spoiler alert, they're not cheap. And the fact that this thing doesn't even come with a fuel gauge, I think KTM's really had us with our pants down here, and they are laughing at us. I like to think of KTM as some sort of comedian, because even though I've just named a bunch of things that are to take into consideration with this bike, there's still people like me and probably you watching this who go out and spend our money on these machines. So that begs the question, who are these bikes actually for? Look at that! Don't tell me the Supermoto can't do off-road and trails, all 20 meters of it. I can't lie to you guys, it was so hot today. I'm actually cooking, especially doing those little segments. I'm definitely sunburnt, and I might actually pass away by the end of this video from heat exhaustion. Who is this bike even for? Because I'm not making a good case as to who would even buy one of these things. It's, from my opinion, for the type of person that wants to live a little and never stop smiling when they ride. There's a whole abundance of different types of bikes you can choose for different reasons. This is of course not a true blue Supermoto, it's not a conversion from a dirt bike, so it is a lot heavier than a traditional Supermoto, but we all know this. We're not sitting there having these arguments with these true blue Supermoto purists. They are for the person that literally wants to go out, maybe on a Sunday, as I am now, and just clock up some miles and have some fun. I mean, you could commute on these, you could make these touring bikes. People have done it. There are people out there that swear blind that you can daily ride these bikes, and I don't doubt that. I mean, like I said, once you slap on this KTM Power Parts comfort seat, it makes a world of difference, especially with the fueling. It's super comfortable to ride, to be honest, for a rip-off dirt bike Supermoto. And I can tell you from first-hand experience, there's nothing cooler than going down the road on your SMC R and watching all of the head turns you get, because people literally snap their necks when these things go by. Partly because if you're anything like me, the Supermoto does look absolutely stunning, and partly because I think they're quite rare and they come with a bit of a notion and a stigma that they are absolute hooligan machines. Look at the tipping you get on these bikes. But these bikes really do turn heads. If you don't mind being looked at and drawing attention, this is the bike for you. Forget your Ducati Panigales and your Rocket 3s. Go out and get an SMC R. I'm telling you, there's something about, I think it's just a universal thing that a lot of us bike guys have. Maybe if you're of the right age, maybe if you're the same age as me, you have memories of playing a PlayStation back in the day and you used to play things like Ricky Carmichael, and dirt bikes and things like that were installed in your brain. And as you've gotten older, being able to have one of these things on the street. And that's pretty much exactly what I'm trying to get at. These bikes are the best of both worlds. when it comes to having a dirt bike and a road bike. If you're like me and you can't really afford to just go out and buy dirt bikes and road bikes left, right and centre, or you just don't have the means to transport them to places to ride them, this is your next best bet. Go out and get one of these. And with all of that being said, you don't have to be young or old to own one of these things. But this bike right here will do it for everybody, young and old. But I've had guys in their late 60s comment on my videos about owning a supermoto and saying that it's still the most fun bike they've ever had. So there's got to be something to be said. If there's a 60-plus-year-old man riding around on one of these, there's a reason. There's a huge reason. Now, just before I send you guys to the closing out section of this video, while we're in some twisty roads, let me just show you exactly what this bike is for. Just listen to it. This thing sounds like a Spitfire coming down these roads. And it feels like it. With this bike being so tall and having the suspension it does, it handles like a literal weapon. Like you can lean this thing so far over, the suspension just digs in. You can brake super hard and load up that front wheel, dig the grip in, peel out and just let that single cylinder sing. If that isn't an argument for this bike, then I'll be honest, I don't know what will be. So to wrap this up in a nutshell, what do I think? Should you get a SMC R in 2026? 1000% yes. It's going to be one of the best things you can ever do. You live once in life, that's my motto. That's the only reason I bought this thing. And call me crazy, but I still think it is worth every penny, even though I know we're getting ripped off, because they know we don't really have much choice in the matter when it comes to the larger 690 701 supermoto market. So if this video did help you make a decision, let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I'm not the only person who owns one of these things. If you do, let people know your experience with owning one of these things. Thank you guys for watching. As always, make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.